Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another wrap-up video. I managed to finish another 3 books and I want to talk to you about them. They were all pretty enjoyable and one was a very great reread and I'm so happy that I finally delved into that series again. But before we get there, I'm going to talk about two historical romance books by Tessa Dare. I have been hearing a lot about Tessa Dare and how she's uh, a very great author and how her female characters are very feministic in a way and very, independent and unlike heroes and heroines in other historical romance books. And the thing is, I read Tessa Dare when she was a debut author, way back in the day when I was reading romance novels. And back then, I was so immersed into the genre that whatever she came up with was not that new or inventive and wasn't a surprise to me at all. And I didn't think that her writing was all that good. She felt like an average author. So I never really thought about picking up her other books as, years passed. And I was not even interested in the genre anymore, so why would I? But now, now and again, I do pick up a romance novel simply because, well, they're fun, they're quick, and usually silly, and just good for when you're in a slump or whatever. And lately, the thing is, I have been hearing about her books, as I mentioned, and I decided to actually give them a go. And I did find out that, if nothing else, they're very quirky and enjoyable, at least the two that I'm going to talk about in here. And the first of those is A Romancing the Duke, which is book one in the Castles Ever After series, which seems to be the popular one right now. And this is about a heroine who inherits a castle. And as she gets to the castle, she realizes that it's not quite empty and moving ready as she has hoped, because its owner still lives there and he's a duke and he's quite grumpy and just not a great roommate. So they have to deal with the situation, and as they deal with it, basically the fact who is the actual owner, they sort of get to know each other and connect, and things happen as you would imagine. And this was actually a really enjoyable read. The heroine is quite fed up with everything. I think she just wants to find a place for herself and live her life and not have to worry about every penny that she spends, because she's quite poor. Her father was a writer of a very popular series of books, and you would think that that money would go to her, but actually, because she's a girl, this other cousin or whatever inherits, and of course she's very poor because of that. And as she gets to this castle, she sees a whole new future for herself. And as I already mentioned, things are not exactly easy in the beginning, at least. And all in all, she was really enjoyable. The hero is what you would expect a historical romance hero to be like. He's grumpy and he cannot be loved. He's disappointed in love. He's jaded. He's hurt and, just unlovable, and all the tropey stuff that you can imagine. But what I really, really, really enjoyed about this book is the fact that, based on her father's series, there's this huge fandom surrounding those books. And I think it's like the first time that I saw fandom in a historical romance novel, which is fantastic. And there was also cosplay and these people that just lived the life out of these books, and they were so enjoyable. It was a funny book. It was a funny book, and I enjoyed it. And then, of course, I continued on with the series, and I picked up the second book, which is, so I have notes here. I'm very professional these days. And the second book is called Say Yes to the Marquess. And this word always baffles me, because Marquess is just not a pronunciation that comes easy to me out of, how the word is written. But apparently that's how it's pronounced in English. If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. But it's funny for me. I don't know. Just weird. But anyways, this was another hilarious read, and in this one we meet Cleo, who again inherited a castle, because this is how the series works. And she's also very fed up with what her life has given her. She has been engaged to this one guy for like forever, and he's never around long enough to actually for them to get married. And she's determined now that she has inherited the castle and made all these plans for her future, that she was done with that, and she goes to his brother and presents him with these papers that he would, sign, and then she would not be engaged to his brother anymore. And to her surprise, well, he doesn't go for that, and the brother is very much determined that he will see her getting married to his brother, and that's gonna be done, and he's really not a budging. So things of course get complicated, and there's a lot of hilarious characters involved as well. And she is Cleo. I think her name is Cleo. I forget because how could I not? Anyway, she's a very determined young woman. She knows what she wants, and she's not budging either. So there's a lot of conflict, and of course there's a bit of chemistry between them, and you can imagine how things go from there. And another hilarious book. I liked it a lot. So I definitely do recommend these books if you're looking for funny historical romance. I didn't think that they were problematic, but then again, back in the day when I was reading romance novels, you can see things and, not necessarily agree with them, but it's one thing to read them in a book because it's a fantasy, and, quite another to actually think about them happening in real life. So, I think that, I don't know, I was never too worried about that, but, I think you can separate life from fantasy and just, okay, but I don't know, they can slightly sometimes be problematic. But yeah, the last book that I'm going to talk about is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I finally started rereading the series, and well, there's really not a lot that I'm gonna say about it here because, I love these books. I'm not sure which reread this is, but it's still so great. There were a few actually things that I noticed that I didn't pay attention to before, such as, Mrs. Weasley asking the kids where they're, from which platform the train goes off, to Hogwarts. And I was like, Mrs. Weasley, you have sent so many kids to Hogwarts before, and I've never seen the platform change actually from 9 3/4. So is that something that happened? Because why would she actually ask if it's only always the same? So yeah, things like that was like, but still, I love these books. I love them, and I was hoping that I was gonna get to book 2 and during booktubeathon. It didn't happen, but there's still a lot of time because I do want to finish it this year. And seriously, if we all know that these can be read really quickly. But yeah, that's all. Actually, what am I even saying? These are actually all the books that I want to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed it somewhat. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.